Canada. The man is from Dominica. The heart was made in ministry many years ago, and I've spent about 26 years in technology. But today what we're going to do is to really, again, to talk about the change that must happen here, the change that must happen in this region for us to be able to survive. Before I get going, I just really want to take a moment now before we start getting on to the rest of the show. I want to take a moment. In addition to being the founder, collector of people at the DX Alliance, I am as well director at an organization in Maho called Feed My Sheep. It's something that my late mother started many years ago, decades ago, in Maho. And I want to shout out right now, before we get going with the show, Brother Irvin Defoe. Brother Irvin was a wonderful man who dedicated so much of his time and energy to caring for the facility which which Feed My Sheep used. He was a man always with a smile on his face, a man who worked so hard, and tragically we lost him just a few weeks ago. And so to the family of Irvin Defoe, to his wife Rhoda, to his children, Adaya, stepson Jamal, Shillingford, Irvinson, Irvincia Defoe, Joseph Chris Defoe, our deepest condolences. Your father was a good man, and we should all want to run the race as well as he did. So sending that out to you right now, and I hope that you be comforted at this time. From us, from the Feed My Sheep family, and indeed from all of the people who knew and loved Brother Irvin. Well, we are here, as I mentioned, with some folks in the studio. Our man over here. Now I'm new to this console right here, so I'm going to do my best, and my friend over here is going to help me. But I'm going to turn on some of these mics in the other room, and I've got that one right. Here we go. Thank you so much. And we are in the studio right now with Dennis. I used to call him Dennis Nicols, and I thought his name was Dennis Nicols. But then it ends up that we're in the chat with him, and we're in a WhatsApp group together, a technology WhatsApp group. And so it ends up that his name is not Dennis Nicols, as his handle in the WhatsApp group is. It's actually Nicols Dennis. And I'm glad, because I really only want one Dennis here at DBS Radio. So we're going to start calling him Nicols Dennis. And Nicols Dennis is the web administrator here at DBS Radio. But he's also has something else in kind with me, other than just being that. He's also a collector of people like I am. Because when I arrived back here in Dominica after such a long sojourn, I found this WhatsApp group. Somebody connected me to that, said that's where you're going to find all of the technologists. And there he was. He was the one who set up the technology group. Dennis, tell us about the group that you have going. And first of all, what is it that you do in your career? What is it that you're doing with the group that you've started? And why did you do that?
Hi, good night. Can you hear me?
And we can.
All right. Well, the tech space was really something that was founded through actually a community discussion, and we wanted to do something where we had a lot more connectivity to people that have similar mindset as ourselves. And over time, it has grown into something where we now have the ability to communicate about same ideals and probably partner or collaborate with different projects altogether. So I actually wasn't the original first person to come up with the idea. I give credit to Shane Gibbons, because he started a tech space on Twitter. So the conversation was had there. And from that, it actually drove into us. I took the initiative to add as many persons as I saw fit. There are people that could have the discussion going and could actually try to move something forward. So that was basically it. Me, myself, as a person who's been in the tech industry for probably 10 years, I've been more involved with multimedia development. I earlier did cinematography, and I went into video editing. My range into tech was more or less as a need for part of what I was doing, which was to understand different applications that did development and media distribution. So at one point in time, I just started doing web development or web design, and I started branching out into trying to understand different technologies, different frameworks, different libraries, and how I could utilize them to maximize the potential of what I can do. So that's practically it.
Right on. And the name of the gentleman who started that group with you again?
Shane Gibbons.
Shane. So, I want to shout out both you and Shane, because I've always been a deep believer in community. That's why I call myself now a collector of people. Back in the day, in my previous career, and I'm going to give you one guess as to what I used to do before I did technology, I would have called myself not a collector of people, but a fisher of men. So actually, I'm going to quiz our next guest on in the line, who's in the studio with us, Davidson Edwards. Mr. Davidson Edwards, first of all, can you answer the quiz? So, if I was a fisher of men, what was the previous career, Davidson?
You'd have been should I say a preacher, or should I say a minister?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I would say I would prefer minister or pastor, because that would be somebody who if you're a pastor, you're somebody who cares for people, right, in that caring sense. But that was the previous thing. But I'm here as well. So we mentioned that was the voice of the very great Davidson Edwards. And Davidson was somebody, when I asked people in the tech space, who should we be talking to here in Dominica? Who's making a change? Who's having some impact? Davidson, your name kept coming up over and over and over again. I'm tired about hearing about you, and so we made sure we linked up. And Davidson, you are the founder or co-founder rather of Shopdm, and Shopdm Pay. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? What are you doing there at Shopdm, and why is it that you're doing Shopdm these days?
Gotcha. Yeah. Thank you very much. So like you said, I'm one of the co-founders of Shopdm Pay. The other co-founder is Gandhi Robin. So we've been working together on this business for about 5 years. So what our business does is, it, in short, helps Dominican business, helps Caribbean businesses make money online, or via payment processing. So we basically give them a suite of tools to digitize their operations. So that can look like giving them a website to sell their stuff on, giving them access to a marketplace we maintain, Shopdm.store. It can mean giving them QR code printouts so that they can take digital payments in person. It can mean giving them the tools to do online invoicing. So right now we work with just about 300 businesses in Dominica across loads of different industries, taxis, apartments, producers, service providers, events organizers, everyone. Yeah. And I mean, really what it's turned out to be is providing the digital infrastructure for people. The reason we're doing this is because, frankly, we need more money to be flowing around Dominica. We need more money to get into Dominica. So our thing has been from the beginning, you look at a business in the UK, you look at a business in the US, a couple things separate them, but one of the things that separate them from us is all these tools that make it really easy for them to generate income, get paid, the infrastructure that supports them, the same way a road supports like a taxi company, and what we figured is, whether you're a restaurant that want to take online orders, whether you're an events organizer that want to sell tickets online, whether you're a service provider that wants to send an online invoice, it was just too hard for you to get that money into your bank account. So what we did is we worked for several years to make that very easy. And I'll dive in. It's a big product suite, so it'll make sense to talk about bits of it with focus, but I'll dive into whatever part you ask questions about.
Yeah, well, in particular, I think it's not just the e-commerce suite, and you have the ability to set up stores on Shopdm, but also that the payment system as well, which makes it rather frictionless for people to get in there. So, I mean, I understand that infrastructure, that digital infrastructure is something that we so need to be able to do commerce today. And I know commerce here has been face-to-face and cash and all of that traditionally. How has the uptake been for you at Shopdm? Are you satisfied with what you're seeing in terms of adoption? What does the future look like for you in Shopdm?
Yeah. I mean, the adoption has been pretty good. It's been the thing is, adoption is an outcome. It's an outcome of solving a problem that people care about. You know, when people have a problem and they see a solution that's fit, they will take it because they actually had the problem. So in our case, both the buyers, the people like tourists, diasporans who might want to transact, and then the businesses who want to sell that service or that product or that offering to those buyers, both of them saw themselves as having problems, right? Like, so, I mean, all of us are aware of the issues tourists may have. They land, most places just take cash. Those places that take card, great, but it might not be the beach bar that they go to. It's a cash-based economy. They go to the ATM. The ATMs might not work. So basically, they go to an apartment to stay in, but then the amount they need to pay that person is more than their card limit. That they can withdraw. It's a whole bunch of things that add up to just this guy who wants to pay this guy. There's a disconnect. Too much friction. And it's a problem, and it really causes, like, it's an actual problem. I mean, imagine you go out, you're from somewhere where everyone takes cards, so you don't even think about it. You go out to a restaurant, and after you've ordered your meal, you realize, oh, like, I can't pay them. Where's the nearest place? And maybe you're in Miro, right? Like, so they wanted that problem solved, and because of that, we have absolutely no problems with the buyers. Like, the buyers are always like, right. Yo, thank God.
And the merchants, the people who are trying to do business, how have they responded?
Yeah. So the merchants have taken a bit more of a learning curve because it hasn't really been like that before. Like, it's either that a solution didn't exist, or a bad solution exists, or they had to kind of put things together for a solution. Before we sort of put what we put into the market, one of the most common ways for people to, for example, sell tickets online was to actually open a US bank account and maintain a US entity. So they would literally go through someone who would charge them money to make a US company, make a US bank account, pay sales tax, pay the recurring fees on maintaining that infrastructure, and that's just so that they can access Stripe, to build people through their websites or whatnot. And we're very resilient people. We like to throw that word around, but it's true. Dominicans are resilient. But I feel like sometimes the resilience actually stops us from realizing that this is too hard. Like we don't just have to push through this and figure out how to make it. We have to say, no, this is not high quality enough. And basically that's been part of the challenge. Another part of the challenge has been because people may just not have seen it, but generally once people see it work, they're like wow. And it's almost the consistent thing is like they don't expect it to like actually work like that. It's like they're like, wait, so
should be harder.
It just works, and then I just get my money, and I'm like, yeah, like that's how it is, that's how it should be. And then they try it, and they're like, and then they do a test, and they're like, oh wow, like here it is, and then they get used to it. One big driver for products across the board, not just in Dominica, not just us, but products across the board, is you need to see other people use it. You need to hear that another business like you all has used it, right?
Right.
So and that's how the product adoption curve works. But yeah, as we are working with more and more merchants, there's more and more success stories, there's more and more referrals, and people are hearing about it, and people are hearing about how people are happy, and and that adoption on the merchant side is becoming a lot more easy.
Wonderful, wonderful, and that is it goes back to the old show, don't tell,
Yeah.
sort of principle. I mean, we can't expect people to conceptualize things until they see them, and then they start to make the possibilities out of that. And we appreciate the work that you're doing to transform commerce here in Dominica. We have the third guest, and I'll say welcome to the show, Daddy. I think Arthur is a recent father, so congratulations on that again, Arthur. Arthur Pemberton is a born and bred in Dominica, but he is spending some time. He's been sojourning, I guess, for quite a while now, Arthur, in Tampa, in the U.S. And he is also, though, he's a technologist and also the founder of 767 Dev. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your life and your career, Arthur? So what's your career about right now, and what was the genesis of 767 Dev?
Well, I have been in technology for several years now. My journey really started in the Dominica State College. I went in there and I met up with a friend of mine there called Trevor Christian, and we developed a mutual passion and exploration of a variety of technology. We built websites together, we managed IT labs together, and a bunch of other things. And along that path, we always thought that eventually we'd start a company together. We went our separate ways for a while, doing our education, and along the way, we were just not able to meet back up because he passed. But I still had that passion to go forward and create that technology business. And I saw the need for providing tech jobs and tech opportunities for people in Dominica without necessarily having to leave Dominica. That was always a big deal for me because the way our field specifically has been evolving, you don't necessarily need that foreign 4-year degree with the paperwork and the debt and financing that comes behind it to succeed. We have several individuals on island who are capable, and I've been lucky to find at least two of those guys, and they're now on my team. We started 767.dev a couple years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago now, and we started with one individual. He and I worked together to kind of build up his skill set. And then over time, I was able to leverage one of my relationships up in Florida to provide a contract position. So he gets contracted through 767.dev, and we both do web application development together. It's been a great experience. We work together well. I've been able to see him grow. And shortly after adding him to the team, I was able to add a second individual also from Dominica, still living in Dominica. So there are two full-time developers right now on the team, and some additional support staff and all of us work together to build solutions. That's kind of my goal. Over my years of working in the web development and software engineering area in Florida this past decade plus, what I consider to be my niche or my specialty area is providing efficient web application solutions primarily, but just technical solutions that solve business problems or just solve problems in general. Not everything necessarily needs a multi-million-dollar solution to be successful. And over the years, as I've been able to work on that skill set and craft quick, rapid solutions, and you might have a particular tech stack of choice, and my guys all work with that tech stack, but the technology itself is just a means to the end. It's really about solving problems. And similarly, if the problem solving can just be a means to getting a more happy and beneficial life. So that's kind of what I've been focused on this past couple of years with regards to my own career and 767.dev specifically.
Now, Arthur, when we spoke previously, we talked about the journey, and I think we've gone along a similar journey in some ways. Born in Dominica, I went to Canada when I was 5 years old the first time back. Went to DGS when I was 14, but Canada has been the majority of my life and career, and my parents brought me there for what you'd call the better life, right? That was, everybody wanted to go to Canada, to the US, to the UK for a better life. And yet, when we get later on in our careers, and I found myself now wondering, what does this all mean, and wanting to come back here and contribute. You are over there in the U.S. and finding this need. I want you to speak a little bit to that. What was the impetus, first of all, for you to leave, and then now for you to be turning your eyes back towards Dominica, and what for you do you hope the future holds in terms of your career path and the future of 767 Dev and the people that work with you?
Well, I had a relatively traditional motivation for leaving. I had gone through a somewhat standard 2 years of state college, 2 years of working, and then it was kind of time to pursue that higher education. I got an opportunity and I took it, and I went into the Midwest and did 5 years of school there. So I went through the whole process, bachelor's, master's, competitions, everything, and it was a fruitful process, definitely, and I appreciate the process and I learned a lot from it. But every year away allowed me to gain a lot of context, helped me to get a little perspective. And it's sometimes good to get out of the Dominica just for a while so you can appreciate the wider scope of people. The university I attended, there were a lot of smart people there, so it really humbled me and let me know that that's where I'm at and here's what's possible and those kind of other things. But towards the end of the process, I was able to get my own employment, and over the years, I've been appreciating the lifestyle that can be achieved in Dominica and the opportunities for growth and improvement that are available in Dominica. There's just some low-lying fruit, and someone needs to help, and someone needs to do it, and I'm just trying to do my part there. And 767.dev is my first foray into that, to just enhance the technology pool. You can't have homegrown solutions if there's no one to build those homegrown solutions. So and you can't just have people with 0 years of experience building production-ready applications, whether they're mobile applications or web applications or AI-based applications as they are now. People need experience, and this is my way of bringing that experience and hopefully doing my part to grow that funnel. To answer your question, I mean, it just, home is home, and there's my family's home. A lot of the things I've grown to appreciate and love are home. There are several people I meet in my journey up in the U.S. who wish they could be in Dominica, even just for vacation, if not to live. So, why not chase that goal as a higher goal to make my own home in Dominica and make a way for myself to come back as well. So that's kind of my motivation there.
Arthur, it's funny, you mentioned where home is home. And in many ways, Canada has been a second home to me. But I've always known there in a place that they literally call the Great White North, that I don't quite belong, that you always have to go prove yourself when you walk into the next boardroom. And here, when I walk back into the region, I come back and I see professionals like Davidson and Mr. Nicols and Mr. Dennis over here, actually. I feel inspired and light. I'm reminded of a parable back in the days when I was a minister and a preacher. We would have talked about the prodigal son. We would have talked about the prodigal son who thought that he wanted his birthright and he left home. He left home and he thought there was promise out there in some other land. And what he found was he spent his youth and his energy and his life in that other land and found it all to be so empty. I know that there's a bit of I used to call my career back in Canada sometimes a meat grinder, because I was a number and I didn't necessarily matter in that big place. I wanted to do some way to contribute, and it felt a little bit empty. And I really want to, encourage other people out there in the diaspora, folks like Arthur and myself. Arthur is doing it in a unique way. You don't necessarily have to move back or all the way back, and maybe that's on his roadmap to be able to contribute in that way. You can also make connections with the people here. I'm going to throw a question to everybody here, and we'll go back to Nicols, and we'll go around the room. I'd love to hear from you all how you are feeling about the future of Dominica, the future of your space, yes, technology in particular, but also of Dominica in general. And are you optimistic? What does the future hold from a digital perspective? What do you feel the future holds from an economic perspective? Nicols, what are your thoughts?
Well, to be honest, my thoughts on Dominica moving forward is that we have a lot of opportunity, and I don't want to say that we're not at the point where we cannot achieve the opportunity or take advantage of it, but I feel we're a little bit laid back. We don't have the individuals that know about the availability, the opportunities that we have. Some of the individuals are here. We have the understanding. We have the understanding, but some of the persons still is not fully aware of what they can do. I think we should actually start taking a larger focus on what the larger countries are doing and finding different ways to adopt this type of technologies within our space. I think a lot more policies need to be implemented to allow growth within the tech space or within the technology realm for us to actually take advantage of it. I mean, there's always funding, there's always grants, there's always scholarships, but how much persons locally are really involved in technology? Do they see it as it's something for them? I mean, we sell the idea that we are the nature isle, and Dominica, to me, has always been sold as a retreat house. We don't utilize our full potential between our knowledge, our skills, our craft, right. And I think that is something that we need to start putting a lot of larger emphasis on. So in the future, I'm hoping that things make a turnaround. I mean, I've been involved with different forms of technology at different stages or points in my life. Right now, I'm more involved with artificial intelligence, and I'm focusing on showcasing automation and showing individuals how they can return or get back their time. Because when you lose your time, there's nothing else that can allow you to get that back. So trying to give people the ability to get back their time, curve their costs, or at least I don't want to say cut all the costs, but curve their costs so they can do a little bit more growth inwards for the development is something which I'm looking forward to myself.
No, thank you so much for that. You mentioned about adopting technologies from other places as well, or we need to start adopting those things. Davidson, when I spoke to you as well, I mean, you had a take of that, but some on a little bit of a twist, and I think Arthur had chimed in on that a little bit when he said to make it our own, the homegrown thing. So the potential of those places, but also to understand that you need to do it a little bit different in our context. Not just to understand that you need to do it, but there's an opportunity to do it a little bit different. I want you to speak a little bit about that, because I challenged you a little bit previously about, hey, aren't you worried about somebody else coming in and eating your lunch, somebody else doing technology solutions that will compete with yours? And you said to me something that was very poignant. I think it's about that customer experience and the things that as you start to make it fit Dominica. But tell me about as well what you had said on that front, and as I'm also thinking a little bit about when I'm going to challenge you, because I noticed I know a number of retailers, some of which are friends of my sister's over the years, and they've had stores here. And some of them are frankly struggling, and they see a decline in their sales when they were expecting to be growing their businesses. I go up to the Maho school, which had, when I left here a while back, quite a number of children, and I think it's less than 100 right now. So we, in my feeling, and I think the facts show it, the numbers show that we are in some kind of a demographic decline. What challenges does that pose for us here? What does it mean for the future of Dominica in your mind? And what can we do with technology to help that situation?
Man, those are some heavy questions, but I guess that's what we're here for. I think I'll take the kind of broader economic one first, and then we'll slim down to the product. So my honest opinion is, my honest position is I'm worried. I don't think things are going on a good trajectory. And I don't say that to point blame or anything. I think, it's due to a whole bunch of factors that, like, all of us have a bunch of those factors in mind. Some of them are external, some of them are internal, but I don't think of the economy as a good one. Because I'm someone who feels really deeply about, like Arthur said, I really want to see Dominica succeed. That's really what's pushing my work forward. So once we, just accept that, we're like, well, what should be done differently? And I kind of got to the place where, if you let me, I kind of broaden this a bit. Kind of got to the place where I started thinking about the economy as a system. Like, there's kind of just two things to think about in systems. There's stocks, like where something is stored, and there's flows, where something goes between stocks. So you can think of it like a river, and it's like, stock would be like a pool, and the flow is the water in the river flowing down the river. Mm-hmm. And that's how the money works, right? And basically, if you think of the economy, you need the money to flow in, and ideally it will stay there in stocks.
Right.
I think what we see is, because of a lot of external pressure and a lot of things that have broken down and so on, like, a lot of the money is just flowing out. When you think of, like, the imports, I mean, a lot of what we eat is imported. The government is pushing, like, eat local. That's because they're aware of that, right? But a lot of what we eat is imported. Our fuel, it's imported, right? Like, if you look in your fridge, everything is imported. The cars, like, the biggest things we spend on. So all of that stuff coming in, and that's money flowing out. And then if you think of how the money is flowing in, tourism. When we interact with diasporas, like when a diaspora buys an event ticket, right, or something, or when they do MoneyGram, Western Union, or like CBI, we don't have that many flows of money coming in, and those flows we have aren't big enough. And that's how I think about it. That's how I've gotten to, not too far away, just a few years back, I started thinking of it like that, like using systems analysis to think of it. But that's why our company is solely focused on bringing money in. Absolutely. Because we're like, we just need to bring the money in, right? Whether it's coming in from a tourist, make it easy for that tourist to spend and spend more. Or whether it's coming in from, you do that business and find your restaurant, you're selling to like you're selling to the local economy. But like, how can we make it so a tourist's money from outside can flow to you, or a diasporan can like order lunch for their mom, and money enters the system. So
absolutely,
basically, like my honest opinion on the current trajectory is, I don't think we're doing enough of that, and we're building enough of that. I'm seeing what, like, different places, like, it's not to say people aren't working, but I'm not confident about what I'm seeing. But as for what I think is possible, Absolutely possible. I think like this kind of conversation where you're talking to someone in like Arthur is literally the perfect example.
Arthur is the prototype.
Arthur is it.
This is why we have Arthur on today. I mean, like, first of all, I was going to talk about the doom and gloom of the demographic collapse, but I didn't want to leave it there. You want to leave it with a little bit of hope.
Yeah.
And not only that, but you see, it's about people stepping up.
Yeah.
Over and over again. And I hear this, all the time. I make sure I take the bus in Dominica. First of all, I haven't been long enough here to buy a car yet. So I'm on the bus all the time from Maho to Roseau, okay? And yeah, you overhear conversations, you hear people talking about, the government should be doing this and that. I remember my grandfather. Now, I'm going to sound like an old man right now. But when my grandfather used to, if I would tell my grandfather, Daddy Buck, or my father, that I would expect anybody to do something for me, I would have gotten a bit of a talking to and maybe something else. Because they're like, you young, you're strong, you're smart. Why are you waiting for somebody to do something for you? You got to do for yourself. And I think, one of the reasons we got you on here, Davidson, is that entrepreneurial spirit. And I think we need to start to reawaken that. And we are talking about technology, but there's also all kinds of other things. We talked about food, we importing food. We can start to, we can grow food. You're talking about tech, as Arthur had mentioned, we can find the gaps and then make those solutions our own. Yeah. Absolutely. And gentlemen, feel free to chime in as we go through this. But this is one of the things I want to say to especially all of the people in the diaspora who are listening right now. So here you are.
Well,
go ahead.
Can I just add something to that?
Please do.
I mean, so one thing that's like I find super profound is the mix of how our population is split up. So there are actually estimated about 200,000 people in the diaspora. There's 200,000 Dominicans outside.
Wow.
And there's 50,000 Dominicans living or 50 to 70. Work with whatever number you're most confident about. Yeah. Let's say 70,000 Dominicans on the island, right? Like, so you're talking about like an almost 4-to-1 thing. Mm-hmm. And if you look at it dollar for dollar based on salaries, right? Like, the people outside earn significantly more than the people inside. So for me, when I think about the money flowing in as the problem, I'm thinking what we need to do is connect that. What we need to do is get those offers, right? Like, I mean, look at, like, honestly, just contracting a local, training a local, right? Like, if you have a firm overseas, your firm has work, it's probably tied to much bigger clients, right? Like, can you contract with a local company? Can you let a local company know that there will be demand, whether if it's a service that can be easily exported, tech, marketing,
right?
Support, design work, right? Like, it's doing the work that you need done, but doing it with a purpose where you remember what team you're playing on, frankly.
Oh, yes.
Right, like,
yes.
And yeah, like, I think just more, like, I think if I see way more offers over the next 3 years, you're gonna hear me give a completely different response where I'm like, wow, yeah, no, I'm very confident about where things are going.
Well, I gotta say that Arthur is evidence. I am evidence. I don't know how many times I've thought, I've came down here to contribute 3 years ago, started living in Barbados for a while, and then came over here back to Dominica. And why? Not because I could get a bigger paycheck in Toronto, most definitely, right? But at 56 years old, I want to understand that my career matters and the next thing I do matters, and that I matter to the place that I am contributing to, and I'm just not another cog in the same old, as what Damian Marley would say, the old slave mill.
Yeah,
is running slow, but it's running still, right? That old hamster wheel that they tell us to get on, right? Go to the north. Go and get yourself a mortgage for a $2 million house. You have to be a millionaire to own a home in Toronto, by the way, these days. Go to Toronto and spend a couple $1 million to buy a house and work for 30 years at an organization that doesn't care about you and may lay you off any moment. And then maybe after you have paid off your mortgage and maybe you're in your 60s and you've gotten your Canada pension, then maybe you'll be able to do what?
To go vacation.
Go on vacation where? Nicols?
In Dominica.
Back home.
Oh,
Back home.
Come back to Dominica.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You that's what you're gonna do. I was at the one of these events we had by the river and Watu. I was at a Watu.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Watu is paradise. That's what you want to do not when you're an old man, but rather, even now. So I want to send that message out to the other people who are still out there. But Arthur, we want more of you. Okay? So we want to clone you. All right?
Well, I don't want to clone me specifically,
Well,
but
maybe.
I appreciate the sentiment.
Okay, maybe not you specifically.
I like being having this conversation with someone like Anthony around because I last time I spoke with Anthony, I like to prefix the discussion with the statement that I'm a bit more of a pessimist. I know Anthony is way more of an optimist. I like the balance there.
Yeah.
And Dennis can help us round that up as well. But to answer your question about what I see the future as, I have several concerns myself. I've been seeing the demographic collapse, and the collapse in and of itself is a problem, but the lack of awareness and appreciation of it is kind of a bigger problem. If you're on a plane and your plane is slowly crashing to the ground, it's bad. But if there are people working to fix it and right the plane or at least exit the plane or something, then it can be not so bad. But if we're all quietly on the plane with our headphones on, just sailing into the ground, it's not a good thing, you know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, and I have had discussions, and I'm trying to get people to understand that there's some things you just need the scale of numbers for. You just need certain number of people to get some certain number of things to work. I mean, when we're a small island with the native Indians, they could get things to work because of how their entire society was set up. But with the way modern society is designed or just runs in general, you need a minimum number of active people to get things working. I mean, we have, let's say, 50,000 people on the island, but we have one hospital, which is fine. But people like to compare to how things are in the U.S., for example. There are almost no towns, if any, with less than 100,000 people that have their own hospital.
Right.
And that it's unlikely to have any kind of thing besides a clinic for less than 50,000 people.
Right.
It just doesn't work financially and sustainably or anything like that. And that replicates to a lot of different things that we experience. It's what we have to work with, but people need to appreciate that it's, as much as Anthony will provide solutions, if there's no one to buy the solution and if there's no one to supply the service, the money is not going to flow.
That's right.
But we do have the Diaspora, and we do have people who have left and who can or should or want to come back. And I would recommend not just jumping back on a plane and heading back in, because that just sets yourself up for disaster.
Right.
In my case, maybe I've taken too long, but it's still trying to work my way back. And if you can take a learned and studied approach to coming back, and don't think of it as retiring necessarily, think of it as coming back to your own little Garden of Eden and find a way to come back and enjoy a peaceful life among your fellow countrymen, and understand that you can't just come in back to Dominica and be siloed. You need to come back and prepare to live with your fellow Dominicans in a way that benefits them and yourself.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of what I recommend for everyone. So I think it's something that we can fix. I think it's something that's not not impossible, but it definitely is going to require more thought. And it's and similarly is that while we're small, while we're 50,000 and less, we need to start taking shortcuts. I mean, we can't go the long way for everything. There's several countries that have solved a lot of the problems that we encounter, and there's no need to try to sit down and come up with everything from scratch.
Right.
We need to copy, we need to improve, and we need to move quickly and use the fact that we're small and use that to our benefit and be nimble. So
that's I want to latch onto that for a second, right? So we're in the technology space, and there's two things I want to roll back with you in particular. You said something earlier about, well, let's do the nimble bit first. When you're doing technology development, you want to be able to do what you call iterate fast. You want to do something because you don't know if it's going to work. You want to create something small, manageable, put it out there, see if it works, fix it, iterate, do it again, do it again, do it again. Now, what our small size here in the Caribbean does mean, I believe, is that when it comes to creating solutions, we have the opportunity to create solutions that are fit here, but we also have the opportunity to do them quickly and lightly and to do new things faster than people can do in large jurisdictions. We can test new ideas. We can find new ways to do AI. We can do new things in different ways because we are small. So being small does not necessarily have to be a problem. It can be a David versus Goliath sort of advantage. The second thing I wanted to just latch on to, Arthur, and is something you said about how your people were learning, and you were learning, again, when I went into technology, my previous career was ministry. When I left the ministry, I didn't have a job. I didn't have any, colleagues and friends, but I didn't have a job, which was a pain. And only thing I knew was a little bit of computer skills, and I learned to code, and I took on harder and harder challenges until I got proficient and took certifications, and then that was the next 27 years of my career. But the point being that we only improved by doing it. I couldn't sit in the classroom. I had to do it. So we have to give people an opportunity to do the things, to do these, and that's how we develop that kind of capacity, I believe, most definitely. Why don't you riff?
Training programs alone is not going to turn out productive technologists. I can't speak to other sectors and industries, but with technology, even if you want to say that AI is going to help you do everything, you still need to have some experience interfacing with the AI. So in every part of the technology area, you need to have some experience and some knowledge to fully utilize the tools to their capacity. So just like you're saying, we can churn out students in IT and computer science, but what is an IT student who's never put together a real network going to contribute to a multi-million-dollar project? So they need skills, they need experience, they need time to nurture the knowledge that they got in school and learn themselves and apply that so that they can find out what is realistic, what works, what doesn't work, and how can I short circuit some things to get better solutions or faster solutions. Some of these things just require some time and experience, and there's no other way to get that than by putting in that effort.
Absolutely, and the one thing I want to encourage people in this country and our leaders in this country and throughout the region, especially those of you who are buying services, over and over again, I have seen it. I've seen it in Barbados. I've seen it all over the region, where there are development projects. There are projects to do technology-related things, and we think, okay, I need to get somebody who knows what they're doing. Okay, wonderful. But let me go and get somebody from Europe, from North America, from these other places, because that's what excellence in technology looks like. I'll say that is exactly mental slavery, and it's never going to give you the kind of capacity and experience that you need to truly get to be excellent. How do you learn? How do you, not just as an individual, but how do you learn as a organization, as a country, if you don't start doing those things yourself? And Dennis, sorry, I keep calling you Dennis because I started calling you Dennis when I arrived here, and I'm going to have to put a stop to that. Okay, Mr. Dennis, then, Nicols.
Yes.
Earlier today, I was playing back a little bit when you went through on Jean-Jacques' show about students and learning, and you mentioned AI as well.
Okay.
All of us here have done a little bit of code, have done a little bit of learning with AI. I don't know. I wonder if you feel a little bit how I feel, because I got into tech, as I said, by doing hard things and saying yes to hard challenges, and I was an entry-level person, and then I worked my way up. And I've been doing enterprise software services for a while, and I've hired a lot of young people. Some people came out of college and they say, I'm a software developer. I'm like, that's cute, son. You're not a developer yet. You have a degree in computer science, but you're not quite a developer yet. And they became a developer. They became a solution architect because they got a chance to do that stuff. Now, I know you're a fan of AI, and you're also a fan of the students. How do we reconcile those two things? Because I now, when I'm looking at entry-level software development jobs, as somebody who has to deliver value for money to my clients, I have a hard time justifying how I'm going to put junior devs on a project when I can do a lot of that stuff with an intermediate dev and some of the, the Claude 4, the other kinds of models that help me to write code. What are we going to do to fix that gap so that people can find their way into technology careers? And once they make their way there, how much longer will those careers be around?
Okay, that's an interesting question to point out. With the range of how this AI revolution is taking place over the world, a lot of the decision making is not going to be really just about can you use AI, but it's how well you structure using AI. So what I would say is, for anyone that is coming in from a junior standpoint, they have the ability to review and understand majority of their code base through AI in a much quicker means. So it going to help a lot with the debugging phase. It's going to help a lot with the recovery phase, and it's going to help a lot with mitigation against failure. So I think those areas are what are really going to be the profound areas for where development goes. AI is not going to replace a software developer anytime soon. I mean, it's close to the idea that you can create software with artificial intelligence and with different variations of models, but the fact is the structured planning phase that you have to go through for it to create a good solid software for someone, that still needs human intervention. When you say about iterations for AI and you have to give multiple prompts, you could spend your whole day prompting AI and it could still giving you the wrong output, because you don't know exactly what is the phase you're supposed to be going through from it. You didn't actually plan it out properly. And with having someone experience that actually has that ability to know that I'm going to be building this application, I need to worry about how it's going to interact with the end user, how it's going to interact with the owner, how it's going to interact with providing me the dash, the analytics, all these different phases of information. I need to know that as a ground basis. Some people will try to just do it on the fly, and what happens then is they end up having to go through a lot more hurdles to get a complete software. Normally, I have been trying to have the discussion in the tech space, with our nice guy there. I don't want to call his name, but he knows himself. But he is constantly building different software every so often, and I always just say, like, you need to slow down. Just pick one, and he's been trying. He got one, and I support him on that idea. And I'll give him a little plug here. Tidy Up Dominica, check it out.
There you go.
All right.
There you go.
But
RT.
the one thing is, I have always tried to say is, put everything you want to do up front in your planning phase. You have to be that type of architect. And software developers, or at least people with the knowledge and experience, can create that architectural structure to plan out how they're going to build a build. And I feel that is what is essential. It is going to change a lot in the future of how the technical space is out with the jobs, But for every job that is going to be removed, 5 more is going to be added. But it's not going to be added in the same phase that what we would be accustomed to. It wouldn't be saying just software developer. It might be AI engineer. It might be machine learning and a machine learning role, or as to say someone that does agentic programming. But all this is still coming in the same phase of actually doing some form of development. So I feel it still have that ability there. We're not so far off, but I just think people are going to have to make a lot more changes and adjustment to how they actually go about in their future role and utilizing technology.
We're going
I actually have a question for Dennis that's related to that.
Yes.
So when I started doing development, I started doing Turbo Pascal. We got those IDEs or the compilers, aka the tools of the trade. We got copies of that on our 3.5-inch diskettes. When I eventually moved on to PHP and then Python, I was able to just download those tools and start using them.
Yep.
Straight from the internet. I got a copy of Linux. I installed that on an old computer. I was able to do all that with near zero cost. How is that going to work now if to compete as if an entry level developer you need to have some access to
Subscription models.
a viable AI model? From my limited experience, all of them cost something.
Right.
And the more useful they are, the more of that something they cost. So is it that if an entry level developers are going to compete, they're going to have to put money in just to get something out? What do you think about that? You know more about it than myself, so I'm just curious.
I think that if we are people who care about the future, that we need to invest in it to provide them with the tools that they need to be able to progress. Yeah. It is on us. It's on us. We cannot sit here and say, "Well, I hope the kids get the tools that they need to succeed." This is what revolution is about. It is not, as Gil Scott Heron would have said, you cannot tune in and just cop out. This is something where you need to show up. And so each of us, and I feel I started, I was born in '69. I saw the entire internet and the technology revolution, right? I feel like I was one of the people who helped to create, and Arthur, you're in digital marketing, and you know that the analytical tools that we use in digital marketing, the analytical tools that I started to create. Next, in 2 weeks' time, we will have a fellow by the name of John West. Shout out to John. John is the former CTO of an organization called Sitecore. It was a little rinky-dink organization that he took with a few guys out of Denmark and the U.S. and built it into an organization that was over $1 billion when he exited in 2017. So John, and that was a digital marketing or digital experience platform. Folks like John, he's been working with me at the DX Alliance over the number of years. He left in 2017 out of Sitecore, but he stuck around contributing to the DX Alliance and to this dream about the Caribbean doing better, or rather the Global South doing better, because he, like me, feel a certain responsibility for contributing to create this monster that we have in terms of the whole digital marketing space that led to analytics, that led to AI, and is now transforming the whole field of work faster than we can imagine. And Dennis, you mentioned that there's going to be, and you're absolutely correct, or Mr. Dennis, rather, Nicols.
Yeah,
you're absolutely correct that we need...
Let me just get to Alpha's question. Okay, Alpha, in relation to how a junior developer is going to actually utilize these models, I have been, for probably the past 4 months, been very avid with different testing or different models, different interfaces, different online platforms. Not in the process of just learning how to use a platform or learn what that platform is capable of, but generally I've been trying to find what is the most cost-effective options. And while I'll say yes, there's a lot of subscription models that do a lot to development, but it runs a cost to us. I think we are going into a direction where it's going to be leveraged for personal use from your personal device. I mean, we have models dropping down to 3 billion, from 7 billion, from 24 billion parameters coming down to 3 billion. And I think recently with GPT OSS, which you can run literally on a 8 to 12 gig
on your device,
video card or device, you want to have that opportunity. Selecting and picking what you're going to use for your development environment is what going to really be the key case. So let's say you whatever is your device you use to build, you may need to restructure that for future cases. As you realize, some companies, especially with this whole new silicon-based CPUs, like with Apple and with I think the Ryzen series, a lot of them are now focusing on computation and they're focusing on machine learning. So this is probably where we will invest into getting devices that we know that are future-proof for certain levels of development, and we would have to be investing into that for us to do development. But I believe because of how the development phase is also going out, a lot of these companies that will be seeking developers would have their own in-house AI models, which they would allow their teams to manage. I can't guarantee it, but I feel that's a belief, because I think a lot of them don't want to actually have their code base being shared publicly as a data set.
Yeah, private models are most definitely something that, I mean, I have one that's actually running on this laptop right here, and it does an okay job. It's not great, but private models are something, certainly a way that people can get started. But I think as well, whatever tools our young people need, it's on us that have gone before to really provide that to them. One of the things that we're touching on AI right now. I'm going to just take a short detour. I'm going to shout out the Caribbean Telecommunications Union, who is going to have ICT Week on September the 29th to October the 3rd in Kingston, Jamaica. So the theme is driving change over at ICT Week. But one of the key things that is happening at ICT Week is the consideration of something called World Digital Governance. And if you are listening now, you can go to public.wdg.org and you can find out a little bit more about what that is about. World Digital Governance is a proposal for countries, regions, and we're hoping that the ICT ministers, so if you're an ICT minister here in Dominica, everywhere around the region, go check that out, be prepared for this resolution. We're hoping that they will vote on that, affirming it. What it proposes to do is to make sure that we own our digital selves. That is our data, our identity, our transactions as individuals, that we have sovereignty over our digital selves. And what that also means then, if you have the ability to control your data, if you have the ability to decide who has access, who doesn't have access, and right now you do not. So right now, the way that digital is working, Meta has access to all of your stuff. X has all, that's Facebook, that's Instagram. They have access to all of your data. You don't necessarily own your digital self. And that's also the case with all of the AI systems. If we ratify something like WDG here in this region, with the stroke of a pen, we will make, in a legal framework, an environment where we need to implement different technology systems than are available in these other markets, and in this, we will not allow these extractive models to be happening here. What does that mean? It means that we create an environment for innovation, for investment, so that we have to implement new sorts of systems. And I think that that is a powerful thing. So ICT Week, September 29th to October 3rd. I would go check it out, public.wdg.org, and encourage everybody that you know who's a policymaker, an ICT minister, to study that, to demand that yourself as individuals, because we should own our data, we should own ourselves, and we should not have everything that we are extracted. And it's the same old extractive model. It's, again, the same old slave mill. In the days gone by, they used to extract our raw resources and then our people, but now they're extracting our data. And they're taking that and they're selling it back to us, our capabilities, our creativity, our music, our culture, and selling that back to us. And we need to put some guardrails around that. So one thing I want to call out once more to those of you in the diaspora. And we're getting close. We're about 35 minutes or 25 minutes to the end of the show. But let's have a little bit of a roundup in terms of the call to action. We're talking about a revolution here. We've already outlined that we're in a serious position here in Dominica in terms of the demographic shift, the demographic collapse. We've already identified that we need to change the numbers, both in terms of the people who come here, but also the dollars. And folks like Arthur are a good prototype for small ways those of you in the diaspora can do that. What else can we do?
Dennis,
yes, Dennis.
It seems you're getting some comments on the YouTube channel.
Oh, thank you.
So you have some Sarah M is saying about take us out, send that network digital first so we can stop playing Minecraft and actually build brick by brick. That's a very colonial perspective of wisdom and innovation. And inspiration and innovation does not require education. Governance requires education. So she seems to be touching on a few different topics for the comments on YouTube. I did actually give out the WhatsApp number to someone so they can send a WhatsApp. You should have it on the screen on the left in case a message comes through. The WhatsApp number, if anyone's listening, is 616-1327. I'll say it again, 616-1327. So if anyone wants to send a WhatsApp to DBS to reach Mr. Augustine directly, you could go into that number.
Thank you so much, Nicols. I appreciate that. Yeah, so that comment was AI is open source, which means that we have the freedom to build and customize our own solutions. And I think that is a good comment, and that's actually one of the things I think some of the young people who are out there who are listening can really grasp onto. It's not too late for you to get onto this train. And you can start to create solutions yourself. If you were young all over again, and you're young enough, Davidson, all of you are young enough. In my mind, I feel old amongst you a little bit at 56.
Older, I told you, older.
Because I know you're feeling it yourself these days.
Yeah, I have all the grays coming out.
True that. I got a little bit. I cut it down. I have a couple gray eyebrows that my wife keeps plucking out. I tell her to leave them in because I think it makes me look distinguished.
Yeah, man.
But if you guys had to do it all again, now I want to give some ideas to those people who are listening, the young folks out there especially. What spaces would you be looking at? What do we need in terms of solutions? And where are the opportunities for young people to get into it today, on the one hand? And then secondly, I want to, especially from you, Arthur, we'll go through around the circle here. I'd like to learn a little bit more about how you did what you did with 767, some practical steps, and what kind of practical things would you say to the other members of the diaspora who are listening in today? Any one of you can start. Yeah, well, Davidson, you don't have any ideas, any gaps?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'll start. Actually, the first thing I want to see on the youth starting is was it last week? Yeah, last week the ECCB was wrapping up this training. It looked like it was regional training program, and the basically it was AI it was like a challenge for like different groups. So shout out to Daniel Riviere, guy who taught me how to code. But he was actually training the Dominica group, and it's like young kids, high schoolers, and they had made an AI product. And I was stunned. I mean, I haven't put AI into any of my work, right? Like I use ChatGPT for review and that sort of thing. But I think definitely that's where the technology is. I think of myself as a tech grandpa right now. Like, I'm not excited by AI. I mean, I what it can do for my efficiency of my existing projects, I'm bringing it in, but I don't want to build an AI project. Like I can see Dennis looking at me. So let me say, like, what I mean by that is like again, I'm a tech guy, right? I have tech degrees, whatever, tech experience, but I'm not interested in tech. I'm interested in economics. Tech is the vehicle, right?
Yes.
Like I would rather be like, I joke with my girlfriend that once this works out, I'm just gonna be like Nasir Fountain and go up in the bush. Like, honestly,
Zion.
I don't want to be in front of computers. But bringing it to the people who are starting their journeys, I think that it doesn't make sense for you to do it the way I'm doing if you're starting your journey. Like you have to because like Arthur was pointing out, there is a question of how do you become an expert like myself in database and web technology, when really what the market is doing right now is kicking away the ladder. So it's like, okay, if you're already highly skilled, then you get more efficient, but then we're also not hiring people. Like, it's ridiculous actually. But where it's not doing that is with the new technology. So I would say definitely focus on, like, that's how you can compete with me, right? Like, I'll have 10 years of building web tech but 0 years of building AI tech. So if you specialize in building AI tech, then you'll outcompete me for an AI job in 3 years, right? So I would say that, but before I leave that, I would touch on something that you said, Dennis Augustine. This is another place we have to be smart. We have to be intentional. We cannot say, oh, what's the market gonna do? What's the tech gonna do? That's nonsense. People do things, right?
Yeah.
If we want a strong tech sector, we have to invest in our tech. In the upcoming people, we have to create jobs for them intentionally, even if that means it's not the absolute most profitable thing, right? Like, the government has to align with the private sector on that. They have to, actually, when you look at what we've done over the last 20-30 years, it's been terrible, right? Like, we should have been teaching, as my opinion is, all kids should have been learning computer science as basics in primary school, alongside English and math. It should have been English, math, history, whatever, and computer science. Now we're moving away from the database and web technologies, and it's like it's only getting worse. We're only getting further behind. So I think that the same call to invest in that human resource is a louder call now. So that's what I think about that. As far as I do want to talk a tiny bit about the I don't want to take up too much space, but about the diasporans, because I spent so much time thinking about this, and I think one thing I'll add to the conversation so far is, you don't have to come back like I did. Like, I jumped on a plane and I flew back, right? But last time I gave a contribution, I was saying, just remember what team you're playing for, and that's the Dominica team or the OACS team or the Caribbean team. At least the Caribbean team, it can't come on.
At least,
right?
yeah.
You gotta know what team you're playing on, right? Like, and what does that look like day to day? That looks like doing something that is investing in this country. Because one thing we can all agree on is we want to retire here, right? So think ahead.
Right.
When you retire here,
what will be here?
So whether it's like, if you go as far as Afro and you figure out how to directly contract people, that is amazing. I mean, like, every month when those people are paid, that's money. That's just a chunk of money that's coming in, right? But it's not just that. Investing. Right, like, we know that. I know we spoke about this, Dennis, when we had our last convo. When you generally, what happens in the West is you get paid well, and then they're like, okay, well, the banks are giving low interest rates, like sub 1% interest rates. If you put your money in the bank, you're losing money to inflation. That's what they tell you, and they tell you, put your money in the stock market, invest, and that's right. Put your money in the stock market and invest in Dominica. Buying a stock of are you going to buy exclusively Tesla stocks?
Right.
Like, are you going to support these guys?
Yes.
Or are you going to buy JD stocks? Are you going to buy Shopdm stocks? Are you going to like obviously people need to structure their companies to receive investment. I'm not
Yes.
getting into the logistics of it. We have done that, right? Like, but what I'm saying is, I know I told you this directly. One big thing I see Dominica needing is a diaspora fund. A diaspora
Yes.
fund. Funds are a boring thing. It's not new technology, but
It's paperwork.
it's just paperwork. But the ability, the access to risk-taking capital completely transforms economies.
Absolutely.
That is almost completely lacking in Dominica. Like in Dominica, the only form of investment you can bring into your company practically is debt. Debt from the loan sharks, debt from the banks, right? And like there's just a whole big swath of companies, generally tech companies in general, aren't funded with that type of investment. So like I would want to see like people banging down the door of like, how can I put money into this promising company here? And we can think of some, like, you know, so whether it's you invest, whether it's you contract, whether it's you buy, just buy like buy those products, right? Like just buy them, like, because then there is revenue that's going directly into the company, into the country, or whether it is sorry, there was just one in my head. So it's like you contract, you invest, you buy. Oh, but yeah, this is another one that I've been thinking of myself, because you see it in other diasporas across the world. You see it in like Chinese diasporas, you see it in Middle Eastern diasporas, right? Like when diasporas go to other parts of the world, one of the things they do is they introduce their products there. That's why you have Chinatowns in every single country, like in the West, right? Like, and those are just vehicles to sell Chinese products so that money flows back to China. Like, I cannot understand why we have such a big diaspora, but that isn't happening. So if you have a store in London, if your store connected with JD's and Be Natural, that connection alone could like significantly change our GDP.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
it's like we just need a handful of people who have a foothold.
And they are there. They are there. So I mean, they might be listening, or maybe someone is going to share it.
They need to be listening.
But there's somebody who is listening right now who knows how to put together an investment fund.
Yeah.
Okay, we want to hear from you. You can go to the revolution.live and put in your email address, send me a message. You know how to do a fund, or you know somebody who knows somebody who can help us set up a fund.
You can also just have a shop. Like, if you know, just give market access, because fundamentally, like, there's a couple big problems, but to wrap up, I would say market size. The size of the market is a key problem, and everyone who here has spoken of this. And the way I see us changing the market size is to stop thinking of Dominica as 50,000 people and start thinking of it as 250,000 people, right?
And I'll say as well, not just the 250,000 people. I mean, like a couple weeks from now, John, who's not Dominican, he's a white guy from the United States, is going to come here. Why? Because he sees the change in the global order, and it bothers him.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who see the change that is happening right now. And one of the things I will say, you mentioned systems and understanding systems. Yeah. One of the great things that technology has done for me in my life, doing coding, and maybe even before that, taking things apart and seeing how they work, and then building technology solutions, was to pay attention to how systems operate. And right now, if you pay attention to the news, people, you will see quite clearly that the entire global order is changing.
Absolutely.
And it's not the same as it was even in 2024. Like, this is really, we are changing. I said at the beginning of this show, and in the promo piece, that we are changing at the pace of digital. And I watched on the news just a little while ago, Prime Minister Modi of India grabbed the hand of Putin and bring him over to say hi to Xi. Like, we have a whole reorientation on that front. Mm-hmm. I watched the inauguration of the President of the United States a little bit back, and I saw $1 trillion worth of net worth in this different Meta, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Google, Amazon, right? $1 trillion worth of net worth, digital. And all of that is changing so fast. I saw ChatGPT 5 come out, and all of that is changing so fast. I listened to a video today where the founder of Anthropic put out a bit of a doomsday thing, saying he doesn't think in 20 years almost all of the jobs that we know in knowledge work are going to be viable. And then another 20 when you get the robotics and automation going, how we're going to have to change things there. So the world is changing, and you have to understand, like you said it, Davidson, it's time for us to pick a side. India, China, Japan, the United States, everybody wants us to pick their side. And all of us know that they're don't picking us, because we remember colonialism. We remember slavery. We know that it's a conversation between the West and the East, and it does not include the global South. Does not include us. So we better pick our own side. We better pick it quick. Yeah. And so all of you out there who are listening in the diaspora, it is time for us to enlist, right? It's time for us, if you know how to do a fund, give us a call. If you want to set up a shop, you want to provide a channel for people to buy some of these goods, reach out to us, reach out to people like Davidson. Okay, if you are somebody who is working at a bank, a retailer, a company in the United States, in Canada, in Europe, and you have a development job to do that, maybe you're thinking to outsource to India somewhere, don't do that. Give Arthur a call. Call us at the DX Alliance, dxalliance.org, right? Arthur at 767.dev. Right, because that is how you can do. All you have to do, you can just hear that your boss is looking for some developers and say, hey, you know what? Let me give Arthur a call. Let me give Dennis a call. Yeah. Okay, let me go and get into the chat on the Tech Talk chat that Nicols has set up. Sorry, was it right? Was it Tech Talk chat? What's it called? TechSpace. Thank you, Nicols. The text-based chat. Let me drop a note in that chat and say there's an opportunity here. I can connect you to the person who's doing that job, because that will make a real difference in our lives, and that is how you can enlist in this revolution.
Yeah. So to go with the discussion, a lot of people have always asked me why I stayed in Dominica for so long. Like they used to tell me, it's not that Dominica too small for me, is that I too big for Dominica. that was a statement that was being given for so many times over the past couple of years. And then I recall I went to meet a businessman at one point in time, and he was telling me the Caribbean has 40 million people, and that's 40 million potential customers. While a lot of persons try to struggle to go to the US, the UK, go with immigration policies, trying to get accepted to get a green card, I felt it had a lot of opportunity in the Caribbean. So I started doing a lot of networking. My goal in media, the reason I even got a lot involved in media and broadcasting was because it gave me the opportunity to meet a lot of people. Now, my concern is when COVID hit Dominica and a lot of persons got situated at home, they couldn't leave, they were practically under house arrest because of this whole biological wave that was going wrong that could just possibly take your life. So a lot of people was just in-house. So what was the option for everybody? Stay inside, can't go outside, and a lot of people did not know what to do. Some people couldn't even pay their mortgage, they had loans going up, nobody had any form of generating income. And when I saw this, I said to myself, while I have the ability to do remote jobs or any form of distant work, not a lot of people know. And it was very concerning to me that we not having the ability to become adaptive into that realm of employment. In Dominica, from past jobs I've worked, I've noticed that you work your job, you go from 9 to 5, you do this job almost every day, week after week, month after month, And sometimes you want to progress out of that role you're doing, and sometimes there's nothing else after that job role.
Right.
There's no other step to climb. So some people just end up settling. So people always ask me about what they can do. I tell them, while you're working for your employer, that is not supposed to be your career. There's usually 3 types of employment. There's work, there's job, there's career. Work you tolerate doing because you have to.
And
The job is something that gives you a little momentum into pushing you towards something better. But a career is what forms you and grounds you. So you need to go into that area. And I feel that a lot of persons in Dominica, when they hear tech, when they hear information technology, about IT, they keep saying to themselves, that's not for me, that's for whoever. And we have a lot of people here in Dominica that, I don't want to say they're digitally illiterate, but they don't have a lot of knowledge within the digital space. I mean, I think, the projects by the government or by the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project, which makes available training to almost everybody for free. It's practically free. And then I was given the opportunity to train on different occasions. And at one location, I only had 3 people coming to class for a free class. I mean, that practically hurt me to a point where I did not know how to really motivate myself to keep going to the class.
All you wicked! You have to show my friend Nicols Dennis some love and show up for the class.
So
we're getting to time, Dennis.
I'll just keep go. So what I'm saying is we have a lot of opportunity with this online employment. It does open a lot of doors. You don't need to move out of your country. There's a lot of ways to get paid from online. Yeah. Anthony has Shopdm Pay, and practically I even give him a plug in my upcoming presentation on Saturday, because I mentioned Shopdm Pay a lot in my presentation.
Yes.
Because it's a way which I find that everybody needs to have the ability to learn about how you can generate secondary income.
Yeah.
You cannot focus on your 9-to-5 income. It doesn't get you by. No matter what you hear about anything, because all the money you get for your salary, it's not yours. You have to give it back. You have to give it to your rent. You have to buy groceries. You have to pay your utility bills. At the end of the day, you ask yourself what you're working for. So it's time for you to build upon this. And then if you have the ability to say, okay, you know what, I can still do my day job, but I have the ability to do something secondary, which is going to go into a different space. But what I think a lot of people are scared of, or they're not really understanding, is what is where they fit.
Right.
I think we need to create a form of a network locally, or at least a listing, because we have these different remote work online projects funded and brought to Dominica, and a lot of these people, even if they complete the programs, you don't hear about them after that. It just goes away. So I think we need to have this type of recognition put in place for the ability to look towards remote work, online work, and also show people like, okay, you know what, this person is available. You don't need to always be outside. As he was saying to the diaspora, they can create a diaspora network. So you know to yourself, that person can do this job for me even while I'm not here. I think that's where I'll close out.
Absolutely, and that is a good place for us to start to wrap that up. There's I'll go back to the prodigal son, and Davidson, you said, you joked a little bit about going to want to go and do your garden and go off and everything else, and people sometimes we don't appreciate those things that we have here, right here at home. Okay, it's not always about getting more stuff, about staying on that treadmill, on that hamster wheel. It's not always about getting, going out to America or Canada so that you can live that dream, when we have a dream and a paradise right here. We have people who need you, people who care about you right here. You can come back. You can invest. You can be a bridge like our brother Arthur. You can, if like as I mentioned, somebody who knows how to set up an investment fund, reach out to us. That's going to be at therevolution.live. You can put your email in there. The website is in progress, but at least we have some place that you can put your email in there right now. Nicols, where can they get into tech space? Because that's a community as well.
where can they get into TechSpace? Okay, TechSpace don't have anything officially online. I think only that it was at the forum. It was inside tech.space.
Okay.
But if anybody wants to get through it, they can check me out on Facebook or any other social platform at Digital Dominica.
Or add that to your message when you go to the revolution.live, and we'll see if we can get you in there, because that's an area where you can connect it as well. 767.dev. dxalliance.org if you have opportunities where you need to put Dominican people to work. Remember, again, you have to pick a side. Let's pick our own side. This is the revolution. It's time to step up. Thank you for listening, folks, right here on the Nation Station, DBS Radio.
Well then, wise mind with no tech talk from no priest. Natives roll out, yes,